Hello, this is Olga Jevtich. I'm Miss Virginia Senior America 2003, and this is Fashion Notes. We have exquisite guest today, and it's a little different than the show that we have usually. Her name is Francesca Alonso. She's an architect. This is what I say, it's different because she is in the kind of men's world position. I mean, so she is going to tell us how she got there because, you know, architects usually were men a long time ago. But now, of course, you know, we have women, and perhaps we are going to have a woman president next time, who knows. But anyway, she's in such a unique profession, and she's going to tell us all about it. I would like to welcome Francesca to the show, and she's going to tell us, you know, how she get in this profession, and you know, the houses that she designed, and what is her specialty. I don't know very much, but she's going to tell us all about it. And also, we are going to be talking about different styles in architecture and also influence in fashion. And I don't know, where shall we start? In Byzantine time, neoclassical time, Baroque, or Rococo, or Gothic, or all this style that influence fashion. Well, Francesca, welcome to the show. It's great to have you. And this is going to be very educational, and she's going to tell us about her. How did she get in this architect's world? The architects are in your family? That's how you started, or did you from an early age start drawing houses and said to your parents, "I'm going to design the house, better house for you"?
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I grew up in Spain. I was born in Chile, but I am one of four, and two brothers and a sister. And my parents, my mother is German, my father's from Bolivia.
Oh, so you're all international, really.
Very, very much
international. So. And then you ended up in Washington area.
Yes, my father is an architect, and my two brothers are architects, and my sister is an architect.
Wow, this is interesting.
Yes, my father sent us to go to college here to D.C., Washington, D.C. in 1986 because he really wanted us to experience a different type of education. And we ended up all going to Catholic University right here in D.C. And studying architecture.
Do you agree in style, you know, when you're at the dinner table? And you said, well, I think I'm really for a modern style. And your sister said, oh, no, forget it. I like Gothic, or I like Baroque, or Rococo, things like that.
I have to say that architecture was our topic of conversation 24/7. That's all we talked about all day long. I don't know how my mom put up with it. But that's, you know, you went into a restaurant, you visited someone's home, whatever we were doing, somehow it was related to design. And that, I think that architecture influences the quality of life of people.
Oh, absolutely.
From the day they wake up until they go to sleep. And that's why design, fashion, architecture, all of that has such an amazing influence on people. And I've concentrated on doing residential architecture and doing homes simply because I have 4 kids myself, and I wanted to be able to manage my time so that I could spend time with my kids and run a business at the same time. And so our projects are a little bit less, you know, time frame as if we were doing commercial buildings. And that's why I focus on residential.
Especially as a mother of 4, I'm sure you know the needs of the family of 4, what would be.
Absolutely.
You know what should be where, and you know how to design. And she had one, I'm sure they can show on camera, beautiful design home, which is now actually on the market in McLean. And it's a big house, but this is a concept that people do not have to go anywhere else. They have a vacation for 365 days a year, and then have everything there. So they don't have to hustle with the traffic and going places, airline tickets and things like that. I mean, and taking children and luggage and everything else they all have at home. This particular home is absolutely unbelievable. Tell us a little bit about that. This is really fascinating. About the 10,000 square feet, I think, is it?
Yes, it's about 10,000 square feet on 3 levels. And the concept that we developed, we called it the 360 home, simply because we feel like all spaces should be designed and developed equally and used all year round. A lot of the homes, people don't use all the spaces. Everybody's concentrated in the kitchen, but there's all these other rooms that nobody uses.
That's true.
And so you sort of waste a lot of your budget in areas that
non-used.
Exactly. And then there's not enough emphasis on how people really live today. And I have, together with my husband and business partner, we've developed a list of needs that people have told us over the years
They would like to
that
have
they feel like homes are lacking. And that's how we came up with this 360 home concept. And some of the features.
Is this your first experiment?
This is our first experiment.
I see.
Yes. And it's just a beautiful piece of property in McLean. And even though we've been transforming homes for 12 years, this is the first one that we're doing fully with all the principles embodied in this home.
But it's not just inside. Their attention to details also outside with the outdoor kitchen and all these like a swimming pool and tennis court and all these things. So you have everything there. You don't even have to join a country club because you already have there in your home and you entertain there. And in the way, I'm sure this is not inexpensive home, but if you figure out when you go on vacation how much does it cost, to bring the whole family and all the hustle that comes with it, this is going to be cheaper version, I think.
Yes, I think what happened too is that over the years, Northern Virginia, in this area, people work a lot of hours, and they only allocate 2 weeks of vacation a year, if.
Exactly.
And so when they go on vacation for those 2 weeks, when they get back to their house, it's almost a little bit like depressing, because you feel like, well, why can't I live all year round like the place that we just visited? And that's the whole mission of this house, is to design a house that gives you the vacation style living all year round.
All year round. It's such a wonderful concept. Do you think now the people like, to kind of downsizing, to take care of themselves? Or it's not really era anymore of like McMansions, like it was like recently the people will build rooms, they never use it, and they have them fancy kitchen with all the latest gadgets they never use. They have a taxi order, meals. And is this true? They're kind of downsizing a little bit so they can, take care of the, property kind of themselves, most of the time anyway.
Absolutely. I think that there's a huge trend towards valuing time. It's probably the gold of our time is time. We don't have enough of it in this area. Everybody's running around trying to do 20 things at once, trying to squeeze all these different activities and the kids and work. So time just becomes essential.
Essential and expensive.
Right. So what we try to do is design a home that when you are at home, you can entertain, you can enjoy the family, you can be together but do your thing all at once without having to put too much effort. Because when houses are not designed with the family in mind, it's a production to just have people over, or it's a production to have a family dinner. Everything becomes too much effort. And because we're strapped with time, people don't do it enough until they go on vacation. And then they come home and they They realize, why don't we spend more time together? Why don't we entertain more? Why don't we enjoy the weekends more? And so we like to design a house that makes all these needs available, ready, and easy, so that you don't have to think about it and you just do it. And I think it's going to bring families closer together.
Absolutely.
Right? Which is what, at the end of the day, is what we are all as moms are looking for. We want to build that, that strong family foundation, right?
That's right. Oh, so this is actually the trend right now, you know. And so, what do you think about interior? You know, are you designing also interior as a simple, you know, to be something that is easy to maintain? Or I know my daughter, who is interior designer, she thinks, you know, we have a, you know, very cluttered house. Yeah, maybe it's true, but you know, I feel more comfortable, you know, to be surrounded by things that I absolutely love. For example, many frame picture with the family and friends that I love, and some pieces that I, you know, bought here and there. It always reminds me of these places. And I know I think designer will tell me the same thing. But I live there, and they don't have to tell me. I live there, and I think I like it the way it is. But I know, what is your idea to simplify, you know, interior, or how do you feel about that?
I think in alignment with everyone being pressed for time, we want to make the house as easily maintainable as possible, meaning that it's very easy to transform for entertaining and easy to maintain, because we don't have a lot of time. Most of my clients are couples. Most of them are they're women, and they all work, and they have kids, and they have a list of things to do. So they really don't want a house that they have to
fussy.
Yeah, too much upkeep. So we try to use materials that are maintenance free. You know, this house is all stone.
So this
granite.
is easy maintenance. You don't have to paint anything.
Right.
This is forever.
Right. And also we want to use materials that are very high in quality, meaning that the house is going to look great now, and it will look great 20 years from now. It won't start falling apart.
Yeah, and also it's not the trend, like in fashion, when, you know, it's easy to throw away the dress. If it's, you know, if you buy and you said what I was thinking, this is different with the home. You really have to live there for a long time. This is such a different thing, absolutely.
So the quality of materials is really fundamental, and the overall shell of the house is very energy conscious, which is really important. People care about that today, about their energy bill, and about having a home that is, it is a large home, true, but that's because it's in an area where people expect that kind of, you know, size. But the shell is built very with a huge responsibility to the environment. So we have 2x6 walls. We're using 6 zones of heating and cooling, very energy efficient windows and doors. You know, the heat loss that people, you know, they build a very inefficient shell, and then you put solar panels. Well, that doesn't really solve anything. You still have heat loss throughout your whole shell.
I see.
So the trick is to build a shell that is completely
sound,
exactly tight, and then you won't have to worry so much about solar panels, because your shell will do that for you.
Is this particular house, you know, with the solar panels?
No, we don't have solar panels in this house, but we have a very tight shell. And also the orientation of the house. Taking the sun into consideration, it actually affects the temperature inside of the house if you have the rooms placed in the right direction, and not too many windows in the north, and more windows in the southwest.
I see.
So all that affects the comfort level of the temperature in the house.
I see.
I mean, people in the south of Spain, we don't even have air conditioning or heating And granted, the temperature is milder there than here, clearly. But still, if a house is designed with the site in mind, with the land in mind, you can be much more comfortable with less help of electricity and
I see.
and
You know, I just mentioned Spain. You were under Moor people for a long, long time.
yes.
And they were there like a 701, then came, and they have an influence, especially on Gothic architecture at that time. And Gothic architecture also was very pronounced in Italy. But in Spain, it's much more pronounced and much more decorative than it is in Italy. But in Italy, I think Baroque and Rococo style were very much pronounced. Also, the churches. There's many interesting churches built at that time, especially around Florence. But speaking of churches, you have one very famous one in Barcelona, which is called Familia.
Sagrada
Yes,
Familia.
yes, Familia, which is a very famous church that people go to see there. Like, in Italy, people go to see Colosseum and Pantheon. This is the first thing when you learn in an architectural school. But what I was going to say, there are so many other styles they influence, like fashion. You see, Rococo or, and Baroque style. You see the fashion with the very fancy dresses, the huge crinolines and the huge hats, and how they dress. It's really architecturally is influenced fashion very much. And also, you said Barcelona. I have to add to that, that Barcelona is one of the cities that is a very modern, which I was really surprised, and they even call it futuristic architecture, which is most unusual, because everything is, in an earlier style built.
Right.
But not futuristic. But this is what Barcelona is. I'm sorry that we were there last year, and we were like 2 hours away, and we didn't have a chance to see Barcelona. But hopefully next time, I really would love to see it. But the difference between Italian and Spanish architecture, it's also it is different, because, as I said, Gothic architecture, it's much more fancy, much more pronounced than it's in Italy.
Right.
But I have something to tell you about Italian, because you have all these neoclassic and then modernism, and between that you have Art Nouveau, and also there is another one very interesting period of time which I have to mention, because I think not very many people know. This is a fascism. Fascism period, which most people do not know. And that was happening in the 20s, where Mussolini was in the power. But the thing is, he was a lover of art, and he protected artists at that time. And the reason, I think, what he liked the art is he had a mistress that was an artist, and I think she influenced him to
appreciate it.
To appreciate art very much, which I think it's a very interesting period of history of architecture. But anyway, this is a little history that I thought not very many people know about fascist, period, the 1920s.
Right.
But let's go back to, this time, and tell us, what is your next project, and how, beside, this is your, just a sample. What, if other people see it, they can probably, do you buy the land and then you build something like an example, and when the people see, if they have their own land, you can build the same thing, somewhere else.
Right. I mean, typically we don't become developers of projects, but we have, and this is an example where we're the architect, the builder, and the developer. of the project.
You work together.
Well, it's all us, my husband and I. So the two of us have this architecture firm, AV Architects, and then AV Builders, which basically is a general contractor of the projects, and then 360 Homes is the developer. But what we really like to do is work for other clients, and so if someone wants to live in a particular area, and we help them find a piece of land or
tear it down, the
Right,
existing property, which is very maybe small or it's not suitable,
Right.
whatever they wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, in Northern Virginia, it's mainly tear downs. So people want to live in a particular area. There's lots of homes there that are 40, 50, 60 years old that really need to be
not
torn
adequate
down.
anymore
Exactly.
for living, of course.
So we tear the house down and then design a house for them in that fits that property and that fits their lifestyle.
I see.
And you were asking me earlier about downsizing, and that is very much the trend. People don't want to keep up with a huge house that they don't use, right? And so, but they also don't want to live, especially if they get, they're in their 50s or 60s, they also don't want to move into a townhouse or a condominium. I mean, there is an investment value to having a piece of property.
Comfort
Right,
and, memories.
and
things
bringing
like
your
that.
grandkids home and your family, and to be able to host. That's part of our culture. So having a home is part of your culture, whether you're 20s, 40s, 50s, 60s, right? And so to design a house that maybe will allow you to age in place and to have maybe the master suite
On the first floor. That's right.
and then leave the upstairs for the kids and the
Guests
grandkids and the guests.
Yes, that's right.
And then have all these outdoor spaces that you can then entertain in and enjoy the hosting and really not have to move into a condo, because most people don't really, they move there maybe because they have to, but they not necessarily want to.
They're not
Right?
happy,
Right.
Absolutely.
And
I
so
understand.
to design homes for those, that demographic is definitely one of my dreams. Most of my clients are families with small children, but there's also a demographic of couples or women or men that are in their 60s, 70s that do not want to move into a shoebox.
Yeah, right.
They want to live in a home, but a smaller home, one that's
Smaller
easy to maintain,
and easy to maintain.
that
That's
has
right.
a great
yard.
shell that they feel comfortable in, and they don't have to worry about it, but it's big enough and not too big.
Do you and your husband agree on the style, architectural style in general, or I'm sure you have your opinion and he does, his own?
That's an interesting question, but we've been together for 21 years.
Wow.
And we met in college, so that's another 5 years. So
Doesn't
we
count.
know each other. Yeah, we know each other for a very long time. And a lot of people ask us that, how do you agree? And I guess when you work with your husband, you have to make a decision. You want this business to grow, or you want to
Of course.
argue, because we can all argue about many things all day long, but it doesn't really get us anywhere.
Anyway,
So we both look out for the best interest of the client.
clients,
And
absolutely.
so it really doesn't matter about what he likes or I like. It's about what does the client want.
To be happy, absolutely.
And the client has a vision, and our job is to put that vision on paper, make them see it, them love
And
it,
and
and
realize.
then build it.
Uh-huh.
So it's really, we never have design conflicts. Maybe we argue whether we should sign up one of our kids for soccer or for baseball.
Yeah, right.
We may argue about that, but we don't argue about design because it's costing the client money, and our goal is to listen to them and transform that into a
What
built.
about your own house? Did you have an argument about, your own place where you live, because, men are different and women are different in some things, because you need more, know more what you really need, because you spend more time, I'm sure. Even if you work together,
Sure.
In the you are more in in the kitchen area, I'm sure.
Well, my husband at home, he's a very smart man, and he knows, like most men, that at home we are the queens, and whatever we say goes. So he doesn't really say anything at home. I do whatever I want to do, and this is our home, and I build it the way I think it should be, because that's what we women do. We decorate our homes.
That's right.
Right?
If
So
the
he's a
woman is
smart-
happy, the
Yes.
marriage
So
is happy.
at home, he knows that it's pretty much my territory.
I see. Well, it's really interesting, but but you are in the profession that not very women these days are. Now it's more and more. The women are in, but I don't know why, because the women are one that know more what we really need, because we spend more time in the home than the men anyway.
Very true.
And they see, you see our needs are different than their needs too. And but anyway, I'm glad that you are there, and you can show your clients the best possible things, to be comfortable and to live, and also when you the people buy some property, for example, they're not to their liking or needs, and then they would like to tear it down. Is this something that you do also, and to build on the property that is existing, but it's not suitable to
Yeah,
be,
like you mean like remodeling?
to totally
Yeah.
tear down.
Yeah, we do tear downs and build new homes.
New home.
And we also do a lot of renovations.
Renovation.
So if there are parts of the house
It looks
that you
like
don't
sometimes his renovation is more expensive than if you just started from scratch.
Actually, it is. And I get that
I
question
cannot,
asked.
I cannot understand,
you are
but I'm
completely
told.
right. Well, the best way to explain it is that if someone gave you a pie and said, this pie doesn't taste good, why don't you fix it? You would have to keep tasting, adding.
Well,
Whereas-
it's really out of time. I would really love to, thank you very much for coming and telling us all
Thank you
about
for having me.
all these, things that she is building with her husband in her company. And, I wish we had more time in Tapia. I love architecture, and I know a little bit about it. But, to hear from the expert, it's such a pleasure, and I really thank you.
Thank you very much.